birth of the internet represents a fundamental role in human interaction and communication and allows us to live an overall simpler life. According to a recent Pew Research Center study, over 90% of Americans use the internet on a day-to-day basis. From online shopping to watching YouTube videos, millions are operating the internet's massive presence. Net neutrality, or the freedom and control one has on the internet, allows for this to happen smoothly and efficiently. But for the past few years, politicians and select corporations have urged to implement new regulations and restrictions on the internet and its users. My speech will inform and analyze how net neutrality is a positive element for internet users, understanding the argument through freedom of expression, fair and equal data traffic, and unrestricted access to online content. Firstly, let's better understand what net neutrality is and its effects it has on American internet users. When we think about using the internet, we have a certain level of expectation and control. The speed, the quality, the abundance of websites. But what if I told you that dismantling net neutrality would completely change the rules of the internet for roughly 295 million Americans? According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the definition of net neutrality is, quote, the idea, principle, or requirement that internet service providers should or must treat all internet data as the same, regardless of its kind, source, or destination, end quote. Internet traffic should be treated fairly and not prioritize or obstruct any domain name, publisher, or internet service provider, or ISP. Net neutrality keeps the internet an open playing field, allowing for innovation and development in all markets. If major ISPs like AT&T controlled the internet, they would shrink the online presence of business startups and online accounts. Now with net neutrality better contextualized, its influence on internet users can be better understood. The biggest and most controversial issue behind dismantling a neutral internet is that it infringes on the freedom of expression rights American citizens have. According to the Pew Research Center, over 50% of Americans cite the internet as their main source of national and international news. The internet's neutral and free existence creates an unbiased and open environment to search for journals, books, political articles, and videos. We're both able to read and express our views on the internet following the First Amendment. But if big ISPs like Verizon dismantled net neutrality, things we view and utilize regularly would appear a lot different. Verizon could decide which sites its users can obtain information from and what sites are shadow banned. Laura Wilson, an analyst for freepress.org, stated, quote, what were once rights to access and disseminate information may become privileges of a chosen few, end quote. In opposition, with increased regulations on the internet, content is highly monitored and misinformation like fake news is weeded out. It's important, however, as Americans, that we have the same rights online as we do offline, and net neutrality allows for this to happen. Now that it's understood net neutrality promotes free speech, we can better interpret how net neutrality positively affects American internet users through fair and equal data traffic amongst ISPs. Using the internet today, we have very few problems with speed and the costs associated with it. However, major concerns internet users have is that dismantling net neutrality could allow ISPs to speed up or slow down their content and charge a larger premium for using a fast lane or quick internet speed. In addition, instead of paying for individual applications based upon self-interest, ISPs would bundle services together, forcing consumers to pay their high rates. Facebook and Instagram would be bundled into social accounts, and YouTube and Netflix would be bundled into video accounts, each with their own costs. Net neutrality allows for free or low-cost access to popular applications and services. Now let's shift focus to the final concept on why net neutrality is positively impacting Americans through unrestricted access from online content. Without net neutrality, ISPs could potentially ban access to content they don't want you to see, like competitors' products or services. They could manipulate what you view on a daily basis based on ISP algorithms and analytical engines to keep you fixated on their content. According to Tom Miles, chief correspondent for Reuters News, he states, quote, my concern in the US space is that over time, the companies will make decisions based on their business model, rather than on the content of information and the breadth of information that people should have access to, end quote. In other words, fast lanes or internet traffic lanes with high-speed internet could be bought out by larger corporations, minimizing the online presence of startups, political sites, and small retailers. In contrast, however, children now have an incredibly easy access to inappropriate content on the web. Increased regulations of the internet could prevent children from seeing that negative content. According to Joe McNay, a writer for the European Digital Rights, stated the proposal covered, quote, the prevention or impediment of serious crimes, including voluntary action of providers to prevent access to and distribution of child pornography, end quote. Both access to inappropriate content as well as distribution of child porn online would be prevented under new internet regulations. However, monitorization and age verification are two current tools under net neutrality being used to protect our children. So in conclusion, the debate on whether net neutrality is a positive or negative element for American internet users is a highly debated topic. With net neutrality, as Americans, we can express our freedom of speech online, expect fair and equal data traffic, and access to unrestricted content online. It allows us to govern our lives the way we want to, without major ISPs controlling our interests, content, and applications. One way that we can all stand up and fight against the dismantling of net neutrality is to join the movement Battle for the Net. Their primary goal is to allow all Americans to have access to the public utility, the internet, and be able to utilize it the same as you and I do. I hope that you now all have a better understanding about net neutrality, its ramifications, and how net neutrality will keep us, us. Thank you.